After a whole year now, Animal Human has finally gotten a fan translation. I can finally take a break from trying to translate it myself for you guys, so I do want to give a shout out to the group that is translating the series. Animal Human is a series about a man and his daughter who get into a car accident and are rescued by humanoid animals. However, the animals turn out to be keeping humans like livestock. The man is turned into a lynx and later killed, while the daughter, Chica, is turned into a lamb and moved to another farm. In the last video, Chica escaped the farm and met a cow farmer who ended up being evil. So Chica ran away with a human child who she claims she's only keeping alive for food. Originally, this looked like it was a one-part story with a solid beginning, middle, and end, but the last volume continued that story, so can volume 3 keep up this momentum? Let's go ahead and find out. The volume begins with the child remembering the events of the last volume, where his bear mother cries out to him as she's burning alive. He wakes up to see Chica licking his face. The boy gets angry at her and just walks away. For days, the boy travels miles and miles with Chica continuing to follow him. The boy snaps and yells at her to stop following him, blaming her for the death of his mother and father. He rips off a branch from a tree and says that it would be a lot better if he just killed her right now. Chica looks at him and says that she understands. If it makes him happy, then suddenly, the boy smacks Chica in the head with the branch. He repeatedly bashes in her skull until her eye pops out of its socket. However, Chica begins regenerating, saying that she can't die. That night, the two sit by a campfire. Chica asks the boy if she can eat him if he dies, saying that he looks very delicious. The boy feels flattered, noting that his mother used to say the same thing to him and he loved it back then, but when Chica says it, he feels absolutely nothing. Now, I mentioned this in the last video, but I really do like seeing this perspective on love, and I'm glad it's not just like brought up once and then forgotten about. Hopefully they do explore it more in this volume though. The boy apologizes and asks if her wounds still hurt. Chica says that even though it's healing, it still does. But she also points out that the boy is hurting too, especially when he's sleeping. The boy then reveals his name to be Murph. Chica replies that she doesn't know her own name. Murph then asks what she's going to do now, but Chica simply says that she's going to keep on living so she can eat. Even though she's eating, she still feels like she's starving. Murph tells her to go to sleep, saying that it might help her feel a lot better. Chica tells him that he should sleep too, but Murph replies that if he does, she'll probably just eat him. Chica insists that she would never, saying that she's alive, and muttering something about her mom before falling asleep. Murph then gets up and walks into the forest, seemingly just abandoning her. In Chica's dream, a giant monster calls out to her, calling her name, telling her to run. She then suddenly wakes up to find 3 animal-human officers in front of her. They easily capture her for their boss, but to confirm that she's the real deal, they slice off her ear, and it quickly grows back. Just then, Murph appears, pretending to be a lost boy. One of the officers, a gazelle animal-human, points his gun at Murph, but another, a beaver animal-human, says that he might actually be a lost child. The beaver suggests that they eat him, but they should also take Murph to the boss as well. But before he can do anything else, Murph stabs him through the head, killing him instantly. Murph then jumps on the gazelle's head and stabs him through the brain. The remaining officer, who's a dog animal-human, grabs Chica and holds her hostage. Murph looks at him and demands that he gives his sister back. The dog points a knife at Murph, but Murph cuts up the dog's arm. After killing him, Chica starts eating the body, but Murph teaches her how to cut it up and cook it so it tastes a lot better. Chica asks why he came back and what he meant by sister, but Murph just brushes her off. Later, the two are chilling around a campfire where Chica admits that she loves the cooked meat, but suddenly, a bat animal-human appears above them. He's carrying a human backpack and drinks the human's blood through a tube until the person is completely drained. The bat walks up to Murph, sniffs him, and then moves in for a bite. Chica throws a frog at the bat and yells at Murph to run. As they flee, Murph starts thinking about a way to defeat the bat. The bat starts moving around through the forest and notices a figure behind a tree. As he approaches, Murph jumps from above, but the bat catches him midair. The figure turns out to be a beheaded human body propped up as a distraction. Chica suddenly runs up from behind the bat and stabs him in the leg, but the bat doesn't even flinch. Murph starts seeing the bat as he once saw his own father, a beast who only sees humans as food. The bat then bites Murph in the neck and starts draining its blood. When he's finished, he drops Murph but then notices something coming from the trees. Suddenly, a giant polar bear crashes through the forest and smacks the bat across the head. The bat lets out a massive screech, but the polar bear punches him in the face and then launches a barrage of brutal blows to its body. He slams the bat's head into a tree, cracking his skull open and revealing parts of its brain. The polar bear gets hungry and begins eating the bat's brain. While it's distracted, Chica drags Murph away, but the polar bear notices. He approaches Chica, saying that he's found some food. He picks both her and Murph up, saying that they're going home so that everyone can eat together. The polar bear brings them to a cave and then drops them on the ground. The floor is covered in bones and skulls. Suddenly, 4 grotesque mutated animal humans appear. A frog-like mutant approaches Chica and opens his mouth, revealing razor-sharp teeth and bugs crawling inside it. The frog mutant opens his mouth even wider, but a goat-looking mutant whips out its frog-like tongue and grabs Chica by the wrist. A small Charmander-looking mutant grabs her leg, while a massive otter mutant walks towards her, revealing a hippo mouth in its stomach. Just as they're about to eat her, another mutant appears, named Mimi. She stops the others, saying that the child is still alive and that they don't eat the living. Mimi takes a closer look and realizes that Chica is a mix too. As the mutants prepare dinner, Mimi begins explaining their backstory. She says that beyond the mountains there's a breeding farm for animal humans. That's where they were born, but they were deemed unwanted and thrown away like trash. At the farm, animal humans were processed as food, but Mimi's body had a defect, a useful one. She became a research subject, dissected and studied piece by piece. When she was no longer of use, they tossed her into the garbage. At first, she lost all hope. She just wanted to die after all that suffering, but then she realized that she had gained freedom from all of it. So, she stitched together parts from other animal-human corpses and healed her own body. After that, she did the same to the others and then escaped the garbage. The mutants sit down for dinner and we get a look at their bizarre eating habits. The frog mutant pretty much nearly eats the whole table, the anteater has multiple tongues, and the goat's guts are falling out of its body as it eats. Mimi tries to explain to Chica that she's a hybrid too, just like them. That's why that they were abandoned. But Chica responds with a bunch of gibberish. Mimi points to one of the others, Moss, as an example. He's an otter, but has the mouth of a hippo. In other words, a hybrid is a crossbreed of 2 or more animals. Regular animal humans are born with traits from a single species, but due to genetic defects, some are born with mixed traits from multiple animals. The farm they came from gathered up all of those hybrids for studying, and Mimi assumes that Chica came from that same farm, but Chica ignores her and just continues eating. Now, while the adventures of Chica and Murph are okay, nothing too great but not too bad either, the thing that is carrying this story is the world building aspect. Now we know that not only are there humans, regular humans, and animal humans, but now we know that there are hybrid animal humans as well. But how is a hybrid animal human made? If they're made like regular animal humans, then why do they share multiple animal genes? Do they actually do crossbreeding between 2 different animal human species? And if so, has there ever been an animal human crossbreeding with a human? We sort of saw something similar in the first part, so are there just sickos out there crossbreeding multiple species together for science? I do wonder why Mimi thinks Chica is a hybrid as well. She explains that it's because of her smell, but that could be from her eating other animal humans, and that's just their smell coming off her. Or it could just be the inner beast that's inside her is a hybrid of another, more powerful animal. There are still tons of questions about this world that seem very, very interesting to know, so I hope that we get some answers in the future. After dinner, Mimi says that it's safe where they live, so if they want, they can stay there forever. Chica takes care of an unconscious Murph, trying to get him to eat, but instead, she bites her hand and drips blood into Murph's mouth. Chica says that they should just stay there and eat lots of food, so that Murph could look tasty again. The next morning, Chica takes a walk outside when suddenly, Ernest appears in front of her. By the way, I do want to mention that in the last 2 videos, I did say that the deer's name is Anist because that's how the translations were spelling it, but the true way to say his name is Ernest, a mistake that the new translators actually fixed in the scan, so we're gonna call him Ernest from now on. Ernest tells Chika that he's been searching for her for a very long time, claiming that he's her father and that he created her, which technically he's not wrong, but Chika believes that Ernest was the one calling to her in her dreams, and from this, she learns that her name is actually Chika. Ernest tries to take her away to a safer place, but Chika resists. She says she doesn't want to go because of all of the hybrids and because of Murph. Suddenly, the anteater hybrid appears and says that they've been looking for her. She sees Ernest and cheerfully invites him to join them for breakfast, only for Ernest to suddenly rip her head off. Ernest coldly states that he doesn't enjoy bizarre food, but he drinks the blood pouring from her severed head. He calls her head revolting, saying that it's made from ingredients that shouldn't be mixed together, but he still shows respect and gratitude towards it. Then he stomps on the head and walks away, telling Chika that if the hybrids become a shackle for her, he'll make sure nothing is left behind. Ernest heads into the cave where he finds Mimi. Mimi begins asking him questions, but Ernest remains silent. She sends the polar bear to attack him, but Ernest dodges every single blow with ease. He mentions that he wouldn't mind opening up the polar bear just to see why it became so massive. With a twisted glare, he stares down the polar bear, causing it to drop to its knees in fear. Ernest mocks him, saying that he's nothing more than just a child, before turning his attention to the others. The goat hybrid charges straight at him, but Ernest quickly puts it in a headlock and admires his horns. Then, without hesitation, he rips off the goat's head and begins eating its brain, saying that it has a rough flavor, but one that's kind of addictive. The others try to run, but Ernest catches up to the frog hybrid and kicks it so hard into a wall that it kills it on impact. The tiny Charmander-looking hybrid tries to escape, but Ernest grabs it and squeezes his head until it pops. Moss, the otter hybrid, turns and charges at him in rage, but Ernest grabs one of the goat's horns and stabs Moss in the head with it, laughing hysterically as he uses the horn as a straw to suck out Moss's brain matter. Still laughing, Ernest turns to Mimi, who charges at him with a stick, but he easily takes her down as well. Then Ernest notices Murph sleeping and begins walking towards him while slobbering. Chika then steps in and pleads with Ernest not to kill anyone else. Ernest is confused as to why she would even want to protect a human. Chika then tells him that Murph saved her and that she doesn't want him to die, so she'll go with Ernest as long as he doesn't hurt anyone else. Ernest begins to think to himself. Chika is starting to regain her humanity. He finds it beautiful that she cares so deeply for Murph, so beautiful in fact, that he decides to kill Murph anyway, believing that her suffering will make her taste even better. Ernest moves in to kill Murph, but suddenly, he is thrown aside. He has no idea what just happened as he crashed to the floor. Was it the polar bear? The volume ends with the reveal of Chika's beast form hovering over Ernest. And that was the third volume of Animal Human. I still really like this series. I still think that the first volume had a solid beginning, middle, and end. However, the second and third volume do pretty much what a sequel should do. They should continue the world building while also telling a really good story that expands from the first volume. I still don't really like the inner beast plotline with Chika, but I do really love the Chika and Murph relationship that they're building. I love the hybrid plotline, and even Ernest's return and just him going haywire on the hybrids is so freaking cool. I love it. I do wish that we stuck with the hybrids a little longer. It would have made their deaths a lot sadder, to be honest. And I did wish we saw more world building, especially with the orangutan and how the world works in regular society, just like the last two volumes. But overall, this volume was a good continuation of the last one, and I'm very, very excited to see what they do in volume 4. But I want to know, do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? Let me know in the comments below. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and remember to join the Discord, Patreon, and YouTube membership. All of the links will be in the description below. And if you want more horror content like this one, then why not scroll down and hit that subscribe button. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.